In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush greenery, there lived a humble tanner named Hans. Despite his skillful hands and tireless work ethic, Hans struggled to make ends meet. His days spent toiling away in his small workshop, surrounded by the pungent scent of tanned leather. One particularly sweltering summer day, as Hans sat at his workbench, his frustration reached a boiling point. Flies buzzed around him in a relentless swarm, their incessant buzzing driving him to the brink of madness. With a frustrated sigh, Hans raised his hand and, with a swift motion, struck out at the flies. To his amazement, he managed to catch not one, not two, but 7 flies in a single blow. A smile spread across Hans's face as he marveled at his newfound skill. 7 at one blow, he exclaimed, his voice ringing out across the village square. I am a true and gallant knight. Word of Hans's remarkable feat spread like wildfire through the village, earning him a reputation as a brave and noble warrior. Soon, villagers from far and wide came to seek his counsel and admire his prowess, their admiration only fueling Hans's sense of pride. But little did Hans know, his boastful proclamation would soon lead him down a path far stranger and more perilous than he could have ever imagined. One fateful afternoon, as the sun beat down mercilessly upon the village, Hans found himself drawn to a nearby well. With a creak of the rusty handle, he lowered the bucket into the depths below, the cool water rising to meet his parched lips. But as Hans drew water from the well, a strange sensation washed over him. He felt as though he were being watched, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. With a sense of trepidation, he glanced around, his eyes widening in disbelief as he beheld a group of devils emerging from the shadows. The devils, with their twisted horns and leathery wings, regarded Hans with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. Well, 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 one of them hissed, a wicked grin spreading across his face. What have we here? A gallant knight come to quench his thirst. Hans swallowed hard, his heart pounding in his chest. He had heard tales of devils lurking in the shadows, but he had never imagined he would encounter them firsthand. With a trembling voice, he stammered, I mean no harm, good sirs. I am but a humble tanner, seeking only to fetch water for my workshop. But to Hans's surprise, the devils seemed unfazed by his presence. In fact, they regarded him with a newfound sense of respect, marveling at his perceived strength and bravery. A humble tanner, you say? The lead devil mused, stroking his chin thoughtfully. Yet you possess the skill to strike 7 flies at once. Perhaps you are not as humble as you appear. With a sly smile, the devil extended a clawed hand to Hans, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Tell me, tanner, he said, his voice dripping with honeyed deceit. Would you be interested in a job? We are in need of a strong and capable servant to carry water for us. In return, we shall reward you handsomely. Hans hesitated, torn between his fear of the devils and the allure of their promise of riches. But in the end, his desperation won out, and he nodded his agreement. Very well, he said, his voice firm. I will carry water for you, but only if you agree to pay me in gold. The devil grinned, his sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. Gold it is, then, he said, sealing the bargain with a blood-red handshake. You shall carry water for us until the day you return home, and in exchange, we shall fill your pockets with riches beyond your wildest dreams. And so, with the bargain struck and the deal sealed, Hans found himself embarking on a journey into the unknown, his heart heavy with both fear and anticipation. Little did he know, his encounter with the devils would set into motion a chain of events that would change the course of his life forever. In a quaint coastal village nestled along the shimmering shores of the sea, there lived a humble fisherman named Peter. With weathered hands and a heart as vast as the ocean itself, Peter spent his days casting his net into the waves, his only companion the gentle lapping of the tide against the shore. One crisp autumn morning, as Peter set out upon the water in his rickety old boat, he felt a strange tug at his line. With a practiced hand, he reeled in his catch, his eyes widening in astonishment as he beheld a glimmering stone of unearthly beauty. The stone, with its shimmering hues of blue and green, seemed to pulsate with a mysterious energy, filling Peter's heart with a sense of wonder and awe. Truly, this is a treasure beyond compare, he whispered to himself, his fingers trembling as he cradled the stone in his hands. Unbeknownst to Peter, news of his miraculous discovery had spread like wildfire throughout the village, reaching the ears of the king himself. With a sense of curiosity piqued, the king summoned Peter to his grand palace, eager to behold the wonder for himself. As Peter stood before the king, his heart pounding in his chest, he presented the stone with a mixture of pride and trepidation. To his amazement, the king's eyes widened in astonishment at the stone's size and quality, his breath catching in his throat. "This stone is truly a marvel," the king declared, his voice filled with wonder. "I have never seen its like before. Tell me, fisherman, how did you come upon such a treasure?" Peter hesitated, torn between the desire to impress the king and the fear of revealing the truth. But in the end, his honesty won out, and he confessed to finding the stone in the depths of the sea. To his surprise, the king regarded him with admiration rather than scorn, his gaze filled with respect. "A humble fisherman with a heart as pure as gold," the king mused. "I admire your honesty, Peter. In exchange for this remarkable stone, I offer you a significant sum of gold." And so, with the king's offer of wealth and prosperity, Peter's heart swelled with gratitude and joy. Little did he know, his newfound fortune would soon lead him down a path fraught with both humor and misfortune. As Peter returned home with his pockets full of gold, he found himself greeted by the sight of his brother, Thomas, a greedy and envious man with a heart as black as coal. With a gleam in his eye, Thomas eyed the gold with undisguised greed, his mind already racing with thoughts of wealth and luxury. "Where did you come upon such riches, brother?" Thomas demanded, his voice tinged with envy. "Surely, a simple fisherman such as yourself could not have acquired such wealth on your own." Peter chuckled, his eyes twinkling with mischief as he concocted a playful deception. "Ah, but you see, dear brother, it was not fish that brought me fortune, but rather cats," he replied, his voice dripping with amusement. Thomas's eyes widened in disbelief at the absurdity of Peter's claim. "Cats?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with incredulity. "Surely you jest." But Peter merely shrugged, his smile widening into a grin. "Believe what you will, dear brother," he said, his tone teasing. "But the truth remains that it was cats that filled my pockets with gold." And so, with a twinkle in his eye and a skip in his step, Peter watched as Thomas set out in search of his own fortune, his heart filled with a sense of mischief and anticipation. But alas, Thomas's greed would soon lead him down a path of folly and misfortune. For as he embarked upon his quest to replicate Peter's success with cats, he found himself ensnared in a trap of his own making. With each passing day, Thomas's desperation grew, his efforts to attract cats becoming more and more absurd. But try as he might, not a single cat would come near him, his clumsy attempts driving them away in fear. And so, in a cruel twist of fate, Thomas found himself imprisoned for his folly, his pockets empty and his spirit broken. Meanwhile, Peter flourished, his newfound prosperity a testament to the power of honesty and humility. As he gazed out upon the sparkling sea, Peter felt a sense of gratitude wash over him, his heart filled with the warmth of newfound friendship and the joy of a life well lived. And in that moment, he knew that true wealth could never be measured in gold or riches, but rather in the bonds of love and companionship that bound him to his fellow man.